Hello. Well, we're going to try this again from another angle and see what the angle is. I'm not a big live streaming experienced person. It's Monday. I took a rare day off from training. I'm pretty sure I got the sound on. Make sure. Anybody want to chat? Whew. Got all kinds of energy, but my metabolism is going nuts. Not sure what the live stream trick is. Trying the vertical mode though, as opposed to the horizontal mode. Hello. Sleepy, how you doing? Just trying out live stream. I don't have much experience doing this stuff. I'm usually doing videos pertaining to specific subjects. Anywhere between like esoteric traditions, training, escaped convict 60. I like that. Hello. That's a good one, man. I'm always looking at people's monikers going, I should have made that up. That's cool. What's going on, folks? Anything you want to talk about, I'm going to chill for about 15 minutes. Yeah, man, for sure. I get you. I've been studying these esoteric, arcane traditions for quite a while, but I'm not all white lighter, bogged down, Dolores Cannon type stuff, you know. But you know, having the practical, being able to work out, being able to push yourself and seeing the practical aspect every day, that's what keeps me grounded. Stay simple, right? And I'm just taking a rare day off from training. Usually I'm walking and doing a live stream or doing TRX or suspension training. And today I just, I had, my body was like, man, you need a break. So here we are. My son is kind of a rock star that with a heart, which means he never made it big, but he's got like several projects, several bands, been doing it for 20 years. So he's doing some recording in the studio right now. And so I thought, you know, I'll hang out for about half hours, see what it's all about. Like I say, I have very little experience at this live streaming. But if you want to throw a subject out there, I'm willing to talk about it. Kind of bored with my own social condition. I've been really interested in philosophy, many different things. Like between just gluttonously eating food to enjoying nature, spending time in very fundamental ways, like just down home, simple ways of living and enjoying simple folk, kin, if you will, to really getting into the intellectual aspects of esoteric philosophy and knowing what the F is going on here. I like to stay up with like Operation GCD, the Underclass podcast, Gray Pilled, and a lot of those things. But none of these things, I would say, never let one subject just capture you. Keep an open mind. And the area of aesthetics, it's like fitness, being the best you can be, but not, getting mesmerized and trapped into the mirror that's just giving you this false ideology and this illusion, right? Being a man's man, being a woman's man, being a people person, being somebody who stands and convicted in your own principles, but at the same time, you're able to hear other people out, And ultimately, I like to be able to respect people as they come, because I love the fact that people are diverse and different. How you doing? So we got Crystal Cox, escaped convict, Sleepy. I love all of those names. How you doing, Crystal? You hanging out in there? Staying well, treating yourself well. It begins with you. My philosophy basically is the power of one. It's not any sort of 88, even though 88 is like a number, it's double eight. So they even stole that one away, right? As far as the Gestapo, the SS, that whole idea. And we really don't even know what happened during that time, but to take from people's harm and atrocity, no, I would never want to do that. I just want to know what's going on, don't you? I want to know what's really going on. So that's been the area that I've been following for a good 15 to 20 years of my life, not out of choice, just seeing the anomalies, seeing the events, and then seeing how there's kind of this consciousness that's aware of you, and to not try and answer what that is, but to keep an open mind of how this phenomenon is interacting with people on a localized scale. I find that really odd. Really, any subject you bring up, I probably brushed against it once or twice. Excuse me, I'm sipping this Diet Dr. Thunder, which is a knockoff Walmart brand of Dr. Pepper. And the reason that I'm on carnivore, and I wouldn't be on carnivore out of choice, but it's the only thing that I can afford. I take in every nutrient that I possibly could with nothing left out. And I'm a big advocate of eating beef liver, sardines, eggs, and beef, being on carnivore. But it's a really bloody experience eating like that. And I would love to be able to afford to be a vegan, but I can't afford the algae oil and the nori and all the other expensive things that people have to eat. So, there's kind of a lapse in conviction on that level as well. But I've been a high level nutritionist and a high level trainer. Worked for Equinox Fitness, 24-hour fitness, Bally's. Had my own, fitness and nutrition businesses, and tried to eat vegan and vegetarian for quite some time. But I just couldn't afford it. And I would counsel people on how to get more nutrition, the people that could afford it, because I knew exactly what I needed to buy. Like I say, many different things, from a variety of nuts, mushrooms, algae oil. I mean, there's a huge list of nutrients that are also being extracted and sucked out of your system by all the fiber. But I do believe that is the way to eat. So I'm a carnivore trying to work my way toward being able to afford to go vegan again. And that's where I'm at. I'm centric and focused on health, and I realize that we're forced into doing certain things, exercising certain practices from a financial perspective, a feudalistic perspective, where we're being boxed in to compromise ourselves, So anything anybody wants to talk about that's an adult conversation, I'm down. Got about 20 more minutes to blow here. And I live in Central California near, I don't know if anybody's familiar with like Asilomar. That's where like a famous conversation with Oppenheimer took place. You know, the destroyer of worlds guy. I'll probably do this more often. And what I'll probably end up doing is filming suspension training in the park that I did tomorrow. I think I'm going to go out tomorrow, regardless of what the weather's like. I don't know if it's raining or whatever, but I'd be game to go out there and do it. Why not? And film that, and then near the really nice lake over here, do a Q&A. I'm the kind of person who likes the quirky aspect of starting a fitness channel, doing some fitness workouts, and talking about things that are completely non-related. Like to get away from yourself, right? We help each other kind of scapegoat, if you will. It's probably a bad term, to alleviate the pains of being, considering ourselves separate from one another. I really do believe in unity and peace, but I don't think we're going to find it through mere pacifist and egalitarian means. We live in a constitutional republic that is, as a democracy, the Constitution was written as a temporary measure, and we were supposed to come up with something better a long time ago. And I like that this forum is international. I always want to talk to people that are coming from other places. I'm in Central California. As I said, I don't know if you're familiar with the Asilomar Beach or like Pacific Grove or Monterey or let's see, the college nearby is CSUMB Marina. Really beautiful area. South of San Francisco and San Jose, and just north of the Big Sur coastline. Really trippy place there. I'm not like a scammer trying to extract information out of people. I'm a father of two. I'm 55 years old, going to be 56 in a couple months. And I could tell you, I could talk to anybody just about anything. I've tried every hat on. And that's where you really realize that you were right all along, and that's what I try to support people in, you know. It's just bolstering up where you come from, who you are, your principles, and how you want to make, you don't want to change for other people, but you want to bolster and strengthen the principles that you stand on, you know. Those are the types of adult conversations I like to have with people. But yeah, I'm not doing anything today, but typically I would be doing TRX. And seeing that I already got to interact with several people here, I think I've had it in horizontal mode and not on vertical. And that's why I haven't been getting any people tuning in on my channel. I'm really trying to boost my channel up so that I can do this more often. And it's all to connect, assist, and, you know, unify with other people in the areas where I could stop and answer questions, you know. I've worked as a nutrition and wellness counselor along with being a really high-level coach and fitness trainer. That was a long time ago. I've worked in the hotel industry, doing hospitality, everything from concierge to doorman. I've done a lot of different jobs. I started working when I was really young. It's what we did back in the 80s is we had to start working. It was like, okay, now what are you going to do? You went to school, you worked out, the sun's not gone down yet. Time to get a job, right? So I started doing a paper route when I was about 9 or 10 years old. I saw my friend, he had this big old stack of money, and I'm like, how in the hell did you get that at your age? He's like, paper route. So I took over his paper route. And then a couple years went by, and I started gutting fish down at for the Old Bro Cafe down on Cannery Row for a really well-known Italian guy who owns restaurants to this day. And started gutting fish, squid, and ended up, working for him for a little while. And then went on to do many other jobs, like in the restaurant industry throughout my teens. I would work 60 hours a week and ended up going on a home study program so that I could work more. And ended up working and getting in the culinary union at, I think the first time was like I was right around 18 years old when I got in the culinary union. And I did do some like restaurant jobs after that, but then I got into the hospitality industry, raised a family, right? Had two kids, two boys that are pretty much in their 30s now. And had a couple different careers, and here I am. Everything from trucking, long haul trucking, to a long-term fitness career, which I highly recommend for people. I think it's a great thing to get into if you aren't really certain what you want to do, but you want to connect with people, you want to assist people, and you want to get fit and focus on problems and the fixes. And you begin to see what took me toward orthomolecular nutritional science. So I always try to recommend that people go on to orthomolecular.org if they've got some ailments or illnesses or other things, and just try it out. I'm not saying that it'll heal you and fix you if it works for one specific thing, but what I do contend is, what do you have to lose? It's only going to make you feel better before you go on some radicalized process or program, westernized process or program that's going to further leach nutrients out of your system and leave. I mean, we're not, putting a C word on anything, and we're not talking about any sort of, heart disease or any other thing. We're just saying overall, systemically, orthomolecular nutritional science is something to look into. So orthomolecular.org is a place that I like to point people toward. And yeah, I'm feeling chill today. I got really good sleep last night. My body just decided to take a break. It was almost like, it had this feeling like I've got this donkey, and I'm out in this rustic, unending trail, and walking every day, and then we both wake up one day and we just go, we're not going to move. We're just going to sit here and eat and chill until we want to move. Right? And then you see the clouds changing and you're like, it's time to go. So tomorrow, I think I'm just listening to my chronobiology, my slow wave sleep cycle. I think when you get that in check, and I think a lot of people have many, many sleep conditions, things that are exacerbated through a lack of slow wave sleep cycle. And they don't get that 7.5 to 8.5 hour restful sleep, deep sleep. And if you really follow the science right now, it points toward aromatic amino acids, Hameroff and Penrose, as being the place where consciousness may stem from, let's just say. And the ocular nerves are saturated, the ocular centers are saturated with tyrosine, tryptophan, phenylalanine. That's what I have in here, phenylalanine. That's why I sip on diet beverages. And then other amino acids. So orthomolecular nutrition deals with vitamin C, right, at the root. This is what Linus Pauling, who won 2 Nobel Prizes, focused on. He's been largely overlooked, but it deals with how certain nutrients can synergize a response with amino acids. And if we work on our immune system, if we work on the collagen, the fascia, building ourselves up, muscle repair, vitamin C is at the center there. And then obviously vitamin B complex, magnesium. Magnesium is probably even more important than most of the amino acids and vitamin C that you could take in if you were to really try to bolster a particular nutrient up. Lately, some supplements that I've been doing are nitric oxide boosters, citrulline, and arginine. And then I've also been trying to take in trimethylglycine, which is like it sounds terrible, but it's like a methylated type of glycine. Glycine is the simplest amino acid of all the amino acids. Glycine and proline make up, in a trifold envelope make up the collagen. And to produce GABA and feel like you're more relaxed, which maybe I've got too much GABA running through my system right now. But magnesium, vitamin Bs, and glutamine. Glutamine is the most abundant amino acid in the human body. But strangely, it's been talked about to late, just in the past few months, and you'll hear videos on this. But a lot of research around the C word, cancer research, has unveiled that even if you were doing a more ketogenic type diet, cancer cells can actually survive off glutamine alone, even when you're seemingly starving them away and giving them no carbohydrates where they flourish, right? They also don't need oxygen, right? So they can live off glutamine alone. So there are ways to block those pathways so that people aren't even, for a brief period of time, blocking those glutamine pathways and receptors. And that's a big one, because that keeps people alive. And that's the whole point to it. That's the point to orthomolecular science and nutrition. And it takes time. It takes a good, solid 3 to 6 months. And most of the time, people don't have that type of time, and they don't want to put that type of time and research into things, right? But what I always say is just get stepping, get walking. And I got to the point, it was almost like this Forrest Gump moment where just in the past 2 months, I didn't stop walking. I just walk you'll see me, I walk back and forth in here. If I'm outside, I'm walking. I'm always moving. I'm doing videos while I walk. So a lot of my videos are chopped up or kind of ADD scattered a little bit, right? But once I sit down and I can formulate a thought, it's like, oh, wow, this is the way the blood, because when you, especially in an area where there's some heat or just thermically generated heat, there's a shunting that begins to occur to your appendages, to your limbs, right? And so you really have to time your meals properly as well, because if you're just talking about your torso getting the majority of the blood flow and you just ate, well, most of that's going to be sitting down in your stomach. So timing those meals out right is very important. And, there's a lot of adages that point to that. Like, if you live for the stomach or the gut or, for the thought, for the brain, through the intellect. And so in my opinion, ultimately, fitness, you're going to be going towards smaller, lighter meals, and maybe even things that look much more Mediterranean. But you get these people who are really gung-ho vegans or gung-ho carnivore, and there is a middle ground, There's a happy medium there. And I think for right now, this is kind of a happy medium. But when I go through these, I don't typically buy them again for another month or two, right? It really kind of messes with your gut health a little bit. And in general, I would say carnivore really isn't the best thing to be on for your gut health, for your biome health. And the route that you'd want to take is starting in a little ACV, which is what I do, apple cider vinegar, and then moving towards some like fermented sauerkraut, whether you like that or not, and then going toward more of the pure, raw, holistic milk type products, and then Greek yogurt, things like that. And if you're doing that, you start in. So we're talking about this transition where you're doing more animal products, animal byproducts. You're fit, you're healthy, you've lost all the weight that you could possibly lose. Now you're getting into the performance mode. Right now you're not appeased just by walking. You really feel like running, but then you do, and you feel like I'm not getting enough calories, or and you go over it and you're like, yeah, I'm getting enough calories. I'm off, that some nutrients missing. Now I'm getting all the nutrients I need. What you have to then look at is the expedient aspect to how you're metabolizing, right? And so we get into blood flow patterns, and that's where adding in some blueberries, some raw milk, and possibly some honey, some nuts. Do that for a month or two. Allow your energy in, energy out, your REE, you kind of set that in place, and then you figure out what your energy output is, right? So a real simple equation is you take 0.45 times your body weight in pounds, and then you times that. That'll give you your like kilograms of mass, basically. That's an easy conversion. Then you go times 24 hours, and that'll give you your resting energy expenditure. It's strikingly close to more difficult mathematical formulas that you could follow. Then you add on based on your energy output, your activity. If you're doing things that are really strenuous, your metabolism's cranking away, you would add about 60% of that number back on, right? So say that REE puts you at 2,000, right? So you just say 6 times 2, right? You're right back up to about 1,200 calories. And that probably is what a fit person, your average fit person, would want to shoot for, anywhere between like 2,700 calories and 3,200 calories. Because 500 or 600 of those calories should just get eaten up by your training. And then the active recovery aspects to this, So we want to get away from doing protein powders. We want to eat more. Unfortunately, the beef is something that you just can't take out of your diet, and it really brings a big subjectivity to things, right? Because when you look at the epigenetic patterns, right, and you see, like, say you're Portuguese, you're Italian, and you're kind of looking at lifespans, how people worked, who was making it, who wasn't, right? The types of diseases that existed around the world at certain times. People ate what they had access to, right? And so shelf life, storage, and of course, you have to look at beriberi, pellagra, all these different diseases that came about from not having particular nutrients available at certain times, or not having the storage capacities or the scientific understanding of this. So, copper is a big one. And this is where beef liver really supplies a great amount of copper for people that are copper deficient. First, you got to get your Heme iron levels up. C will help boost those levels up, but you have to have it in your system and ready to go. Well, beef liver will allow that. And then you also can bring up your vitamin A levels this way, But ultimately, I think that if you're getting more productive and you're making more money and you're fitter, and hopefully that's what that translates into, is that you're just doing more, you're more active, that you're going to start including more things like carrots, yams, sweet potatoes, and you're going to be putting together really well-balanced meals that aren't overly saturated in fats, and they're not over carbohydrate centric, right? I think the only time you run into really secondary plant metabolite issues, which was a big argument that a lot of these hard carnivores liked to come up with, conjecture, were centered around the fact that the plant doesn't want to be eaten and it's going to respond accordingly. But I think those things only come into play when you're eating a large quantity, when you're almost like doing a standalone. So this whole sugar diet thing, I looked really deep into that. Why would you do something that is so temporary, right? So you're not going to build on a carbohydrate platform initially. You're going to build on more of a holistic meat and dairy platform, which you're going to continue to do. And you're going to try and iron that out and make those constants, those stables, healthier and healthier versions of themselves as time goes by, fitness increases, and hopefully financial flexibility leads to metabolic flexibility, leads to neurodiversity, you know? And whenever I do, like here I am at 31 minutes, so I've been running my mouth for a little while. I get to this place where I'm like, okay, that's about what I would have said, and that came out of nowhere, but it's kind of a reiteration of a reminder of how I believe a lot of the central tenets of where I am. Now I'm going to go, and I'm going to go make some eggs. If there's anybody still tuning in and wants to see me make eggs, you got 5 seconds. Or I'm just going to go, I'm going to do butter, and I'm going to do scrambled eggs. I haven't opened up my 60 pack of scrambled eggs quite yet. All right, we'll be talking to you soon. I'm going to be coming to you live tomorrow from the park. I might even, this is that weird channel where I'll film my walk to the park. I think last time I did that, I actually threw it up on my other channel, Rogue Beast Warrior, RBW, and I have a blog that goes along with that where I lay out recipes, a lot of different things. I think I've already got about 150 posts up there. And it's all educational. It's all bridging toward and reaching out toward this unification, that we might get rid of this really diabolical, evil element of people, right? And just wash it away like it never happened and start to really work together in an egalitarian sort of fashion where nobody's competing with each other, everybody's getting along, and eventually we rise to this technological prowess in this place where we don't have to kill animals and eat them, where we don't even have to harm another being, right? And I think that we're at the precipice at that point where we could do that, and we have to start making that consensus, that type of opinion. We're at the black book decision. The Bible has so many, I mean, every holy doctrine, as they say, every piece of literature has a left-hand path and a right-hand path. And we don't have to choose either side. There is a middle ground, like the cross, right? There is a middle ground. There is a neutrality, like Buddhism. You know, there is a way of peace and harmony, kind of like Jainism, right? Where there's no real God there. It's just, it really is but they do believe in God, and it really is about the manifestation of this sort of etheric plasma energy that when you're doing good and you're sinking in together, this animistic, Whitehead type, Neoplatonic or Platonic philosophy starts to become evident. And I very much believe that. Like, we have to make God happen. God's a moment. Just like you can have the same name, you can look like you, but nobody knows whether or not you just did the most critical, most devastating thing to yourself that just shattered you from the inside out. Right? To where you're going to be going through years of hardship and people are going to see you crumble, but they didn't see that one incident that you went through. And we want to be able to uplift people and say, no, don't see that as this is detrimental. You reach this dark night of the soul, and now I need to tell you in all transparency the shit that I've been through and how I got through it. And I'm going to tell you, you're not just going to get right back out of the pond. You're stuck in the muck and the mire with everybody, but guess what? Do you know the nutrients that are in there? Start to swim in it, start to understand it, start to realize that you're in this cosmic universal stew like everyone else. So that's a good place to end it. We'll talk to you soon. See you tomorrow.